Good morning. We'll call to order the September 18, 2018 edition of the Franklin Redevelopment Commission. We'll start off with the call to order, and I'll just read off the names, just say if you're here. Brian Deppie. Paul Buning. Here. Keith Fox. Here. Bob Hukin is here. Danny Vaught is absent, and Richard Wirtz here. Okay, and so we have a quorum. And the first item of business is the approval of the minutes for the meeting of August 21st, 2018.
We'll make the motion to approve the minutes of the August 21st meeting. Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion approved. Any old business to bring before the committee? There is none, so we'll move on to new business. What we're going to do today, there's 5 items under new business. And I believe we're going to get on a couple of them, D&E, probably just an overview from Mark Richards on what that is. I think we'll end up having a special RDC meeting to have all the resolutions prepared for that. Krista may touch lightly on the light pole thing, or we might just move past that. That's something that will come back later on. We're going to talk about the grant agreement between the Franklin Redevelopment Commission and the Franklin Development Corporation on the Frechette grant. But primarily, one of the major things we're doing today, and this is kind of a carryover from last evening's City Council meeting, is that we're going to talk about an economic development agreement, which I understand is still in process, between the Redevelopment Commission and Amazing Food and Beverage Group, LLC. Now, this is a group that is, we're working pretty closely to have the Shell building purchased by this group. I know we have Tim May with us this morning, and Leslie Wagner, also from Genovis, and a gentleman that you were there last night. And
Jason Kelly.
Jason, and the other gentleman next to Leslie is...
Steve Schaub with Avis and Young.
Okay, so we've got a pretty good contingent there, and I believe what we probably just should do at this point is I'll just kind of let Krista talk about where we are in the process. I'm sure, Tim, you'll want to get up and speak with us for a minute, and probably Leslie as well, or all of you as far as I'm concerned, but I think that's primarily the meat of the meeting today, but again, we've got a couple other important items to talk about as well, so just let you go with that.
Sure, just to give you a brief overview. So this is the company that we've been working with on the Shell building. This has been through our Board of Zoning Appeals for the special exception for the use. It's been to Planning Commission. It's been to the Economic Development Commission for tax abatement, and then last night there was a City Council meeting where they were granted a 10-year real and personal property abatement on their investment. So they have a presentation about the company and just give you an overview of that, and then I'll let Rob go through the details on the economic development agreement.
Well, the way we typically do this is just come up to the podium, state your name, I think even sign in, and that way we have it on record, and then I'm sure you've done it before, so. We heard about those last night.
Good morning, my name is Tim May. I'm the owner and founder of Amazing Food and Beverage Group. We have been in business for several years under a couple of different entities. We were the first organization under Matrix Liquid Manufacturing that brought on Cold Stone Creamery iced coffees to compete with the Starbucks Frappuccinos that used to be at their marketplace. We had historically done most of our business through co-packers. Recently, we have signed 2 very, very large, nationally recognized brands for energy drink, coffee type, ready-to-drink coffee type items. which forced us to identify that we could no longer do it on a co-packing basis. We had to do it on our own basis. We incorporated Edison Young. They've scoured the country. We got connected with Genovis and Leslie Wagner. And between those two entities and companies and partners, they identified that Franklin, Indiana was our best position to take. I couldn't agree with them more. Being a coffee farmer myself, I'm a coffee farmer out of Kona, Hawaii. I don't normally look like this. I normally look like, cargo pants and t-shirts and all around 100-pound coffee bags. But what we do, and what was specifically significant to us, is we will be the only company that I know of at this point that will be totally integrated from tree to bottle. So this is a particular bottle right now that we manufacture, and this is for Kroger. We have a couple of other retailers as well. We make a Kona blend, and we make a Colombian dark roast. So I grow the Kona in Kona, Hawaii. We pick it, we process it, we lay it on the Hoshidana for 5 to 7 days. We take it off, we ship it to ourselves in a green form. Just so you know what a green form looks like. Most people don't. Okay? This is what green coffee looks like. Okay? This is when we take it off our Hoshidana and we put it in our 100-pound bags and we ship it to Franklin, Indiana. This is what it's going to look like. It's hard as a rock. Okay? That product stays in an ambient and properly stored facility. That'll stay for 3.5 years. Okay? And then in this facility that we have, we're going to have 2 30-kilo roasters. So what you do is you take that green pot, that green bag, or green product, and then you start to roast it. And once you roast it, that is about 3 months that you should use that product. We're going to roast it, we're going to grind it, and immediately we're going to steep it. We're going to have 555-gallon stainless steel tubs, and we're going to put 500 gallons of water in, 500 pounds of coffee, and it is steeped like tea, not like coffee, okay? Have you ever seen your coffee that you have like a little oil soil on top? That's acid, okay? That acid will now be removed, okay? So, but it takes a 12 to 16-hour process overnight. When we pull that out, when we come back in the morning, the product is in this form now. It's concentrated. We add a little bit more water back to it, depending on the customer's flavor profile, and we're off and running with this. This will be an ambient distributed product. When we get into the lattes, things like this, the frappuccinos of the world, then that will be under aseptic manufacturing facility. So this facility here, I would assume, would be a point of attraction for the beverage industry as we move forward. We've been in the business since 2009. We have a lot of nice retail customers, but these 2 nationally recognized brands, and if I told you who they were, you'd go, oh, that makes sense. Why we're going to have a facility like this here, and then somewhere in Utah or Nevada is number 2, and then we have one on the whiteboard for Austin, Texas. Any questions?
All the manufacturing for all of these products will be done here?
It'll be split up. I mean, because of the overall volume that we're being asked to manufacture and supply, we started with Franklin because, as you know, 80% of the United States lives on the east side of the Rockies, right? So and Franklin is perfectly located towards logistics because this is heavy. I mean, this is really heavy. And so, right? And so logistics is a huge aspect of our business. It actually falls right below my line of labor and overhead on the cost of that. So you take a dot, you make it a 500-mile circle, you can get pretty close to New York, and you can get pretty close to the end of Georgia. from Franklin, Indiana. So it makes sense to be right here, okay? And then, of course, you don't want to be shipping this stuff in the middle of the winter over the Rockies, right? So you want to have a plant.
Is it an acid-free coffee or is it low acid?
Well, coffee is historically a low pH item anyway. Historically, you can pour a cup of coffee, brew it, any way you want to, and leave it. As long as it's not exposed to tremendous temperature differences, you could drink it constantly. It's when you add things like this, lattes, milk, chocolate, caramel, all the things you see on the grocery store shelves, and you still need an ambient shelf life, that's when you need to get into more specific and FDA-regulated processing.
Might be appropriate now, since there's a number of people here that have been involved in the transaction, maybe to give the RDC an overview of the transaction itself. And I know you've been involved in that, Leslie, as well, Chris, but it's probably appropriate to give an overview of the deal. Because really what we're looking at is selling, we own the property, RDC owns the property, and so we're actually the seller of it, and so that's kind of our role in all of this.
So in terms of our process to get to this point, or where we're moving forward?
I think more so, and maybe Rob, you might jump in as well, but really to talk about the deal that we're going to actually, maybe it's too soon to talk about the transaction itself and the economic development agreement, but we do know we're not asking it full price because it hasn't been fully built out to the point of what we had. So,
Right, so
maybe what incentives are being offered by the city and so forth.
Leslie Wagner with Genovis, and just for the group's benefit, Genovis is a national site selection economic development advisory services firm, and in this case, we partnered with Davison, Young, Sean, and Steve, so that as they were narrowing real estate decisions, we popped in and we helped them analyze from a labor standpoint, business climate standpoint, taxes, workforce availability, huge, and then also a really important component is the economic development incentive. So as we were working with Tim and Avison, we were closely reviewing another site in Indiana and an alternate site in Dry Ridge, Kentucky. And the utilization of incentives became critically important, particularly for startup operation. For the first few years, we're looking to offset the cost associated with doing business both short and long term. What made the Franklin transaction so favorable were a couple of things. One, the tax abatement process that we went through last evening. Indiana is a bit unique in that it assesses personal property in addition to real property. So the ability to offset personal property tax expense for $20 million in equipment was critically important. The other component became land price. The land price in Dry Ridge, Kentucky was very favorable from a cost standpoint. So the ability to have the land cost written down, so to speak, by the Redevelopment Commission, also critically important in terms of making the financial aspects of this deal work, satisfying return on investment for his investors and whatnot. So I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that, or you guys want to add to that? How does that kind of address what you're looking for?
While we're waiting, I'll just, for the benefit of one, I said this last night, but for the benefit of one of our Franklin College students that's in the room, Leslie is a Franklin College grad, so you're business, aren't you, Tara?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
First of all, I apologize for being late. I had 2 accidents on 65 coming in the north side, so I apologize for that. Sean McHale with Avison Young. I think from a real estate perspective, 2 drivers. The building was there. From a timing perspective, that was huge. And the ability to go from a 50,000 square foot building, potentially long term to 200,000, very, very appealing. 2 things. We're going to customize the building, long-term commitment to the community. A lot of capital investment, long-term commitment to the community, and a lot of labor. Hiring 150 employees, all those balanced out to be, the real estate makes sense. So hopefully that kind of, from a real estate standpoint, you own it, they're gonna own it and stay for a long time. So that's a big benefit from the community's perspective. And this company's gonna be growing very quickly.
Just to let you know, on the ready-to-drink category for coffee and all other beverages, when I was a young man, I went to the store and it was Coke, Pepsi, Yahoo, Crush. Now you go to the store, it's Red Bull and Monster and Snapple, and there's a gazillion other ones, right? As that ready-to-drink category exploded, the only one category that's going to grow to double digits through 2025 is coffee-based items. All other products will not meet that double-digit incentive growth. So this product is going to be around for a long, long time. I mean, coffee is the second largest traded commodity behind oil. So it's a viable category, and it will be a viable process. We have 3 patents wrapped around its processing facility, and it will be a site of destination for the beverage industry come by this time next year.
When I grew up, it was knee-high ski and Kool-Aid.
But I gotta give you a second. The question was asked to me last Tuesday. They said, what made you really choose this facility? And being a farmer myself, I feel comfortable in a farming community, right? I mean, that's what this really is. I mean, it's really a farming community for miles around. But I think if you take a look at the presentation and you see the team that we had compiled, right? We have Avison, we have Genovis, we have Birnbaum,
ICC.
we have John from ICC and from Epic. Our structure fit your structure really well. I mean, we went to other meetings like this, and we didn't have a Krista who gave us a playbook. They said, well, here's your dates, you got to just get it done. Well, what do we got to get done? Oh, just go on our website, look it up. There's so many different things that go on in the business behind the scenes of supply chain management. Millions and millions and millions of pounds of coffee, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of pounds of tea. This coffee doesn't come from Indianapolis or Cincinnati. You got to go to Kona, Hawaii, or you got to go to Costa Rica or Dominican Republic or someplace else. You got to go to Tianjin in Shanghai to get the tea. The cans that you put it in, and hundreds of millions of cans. The way you have structured your business, 2 guys who come in like me who structure my business the way we structured our business, you guys just meshed. It was so much easier to do business with you.
I stepped back up to the podium because I was going to say exactly that. When a project presents, it's critically important to have a really cohesive team in place, and Franklin has that really cohesive team. And in my opinion, that cohesiveness and the pre-planning in terms of having the shell building up and having all of the right people around the table at exactly the right moment is what landed this project here. Because there were others that looked similar, but in terms of getting it across the finish line, it's the community that did that.
We are using your template in the West Coast.
Yeah.
When Sean and Steve look for places out on the West Coast, we say, here's the template. We don't use your numbers or anything else, but here's what we have right now. You need to fall in that template. And if they say, how do we do that? We just say, call Franklin. They figured it out.
I've had the privilege of kind of being involved from the sidelines a little bit on this, but I know that a few things that struck me in this process, and I'm echoing what you all are saying, is that certainly we have a good partnership with the Johnson County Development Corporation. Dana, I know you spent a lot of time on this. And Chris, you were up front real early with working with Representative Redevelopment in the process, and we thank you for that. But also, one of the things that struck me, you mentioned playbook, is that people behind the scenes see this, but most people don't see this, but she had the answer for just about everything in that.
Everything
You know, it's like
today.
Yeah, it's like we've got to, we'll help you get through this process, and it was really, I think, impressive to do that. So, Kristen, congratulations on what you did. Mayor, anything you want to add on any of this?
No, I'm just excited to get started.
Yeah, I think.
Great company.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
We're looking forward to having you all here, and this won't be the last time we'll see you, I know. And maybe right now it might be appropriate to maybe get an update from legal counsel on kind of where we stand on the EDA, because that's really our next step. The tax abatements and everything, that's all been vetted out and approved last night. So the next step is for us to approve an economic development agreement, which involves the sale of the building. And then I think we're out of it then at that point. So anything from Rob on that?
Well, does anybody have any questions, first of all?
We really haven't seen the commission itself. I don't think has been privy to the numbers. Well, they were given a kind of they were given a copy of a draft that showed some things. But
Well, so let me just talk about it.
yeah, let's just talk about that.
So, the mayor, in July, the mayor offered an incentives package, and I believe that's being accepted. And so the task for me is to put that in a form that's legal and that is the kind of agreement that you want to see. So I prepared a draft, and the company's team has responded to it with some suggested revisions. So I don't have a final document for you today. And I'd also like to see the company get registered with the Indiana Secretary of State before we ink a deal. But in terms of the substance of the deal, the company would be purchasing the real estate and the building in its as-is condition. The total price of that purchase would be $2,282,670. Building and the land. Under the draft that we're working at, under the agreement, it's similar to the way that you sold the old City Hall building. So it's not a straight purchase in the route as it's currently drafted. If that's what you want, I can change gears and do that. But this looks like your old City Hall agreement in the following ways. We would have a closing. Well, first of all, there would be a due diligence period for the company to make sure what they want to do and that it's going to work. And once they're satisfied, then we would have a closing where we would deed the property to the company. The company would give us back the mortgage to ensure that they follow through with the plan that they're proposing. And then I've also have a simplified review panel that would just be able to sit at the table with the company as the project unfolds, so that we're sure we're getting what we're being promised. I'm optimistic that we can have that agreement in final form in short order. There's other things that have to happen from our side of the table. I think I would recommend that we do another city council approval, similar to what we did with the old City Hall sale. You may remember that there's a funny statute that says that when the Redevelopment Commission sells real estate that is part of its economic development plan, the city council ought to sign off on it. We did that with old City Hall, and I think we ought to consider doing that as well. We need to pay Mr. and Mrs. Linville the final payment on the land, which is $200,000. We need to ensure that we're closing out the Great Mars development project correctly, and that the Horizon Bank debt is being satisfied and that the escrow is being appropriately used. And then we need to see the deed and the closing and the mortgage. So there's several things that need to be done, but it looks to me like it's happening. Did that generate any questions?
I think we're looking at, Rob, you indicated you didn't think there'd be a problem for looking at possibly having a special meeting of the board of this body on October 2nd. And we can certainly bring up that EDA at that point. Rob, you're optimistic that that can all be accomplished. And so if it's deemed necessary to have the city council kind of give a head nod on it as well, we'll meet first of the month on that. So
We actually meet October the 1st. Is there a way to have a special meeting before that?
City council meets on the 1st.
Yeah.
We are already legally advertised for a redevelopment meeting on the 2nd.
Okay.
Which would be good, because that would give the city council its approval first, and then we could come in afterwards.
Okay.
So that wouldn't hold up the RDC, so I'll work with you to get that scheduled.
okay. Sounds like more hoops to jump through, but we're on a fast track here, I think, to get this done. So, Tim, everyone, we appreciate you coming in this morning. We look forward to working with you. Is there anything else? I'm wrapping this up, but nobody has any questions. Just look forward to good production and process. But again, welcome, and thanks to all of you for your hard work and good work. And yes,
And thank you to the mayor of your city, because he's been absolutely fantastic.
I got to ask the question, did the road help you at all? The fact that we had that road done? I'm sure it did. Yeah. I know, Mayor,
Yeah,
you were pushing the road, and
We'll have a fair amount of trucks coming in and out of here. We didn't want to have any kind of obstruction or any kind of nuisance to the farm community, the community around it.
you mentioned a lot of people involved. Mark's department was involved, planning, making sure we got that road done right. Had to do some negotiating with the neighbor to the south of you there, making sure they were okay with it. It all kind of came together, so everybody played a good role in this, so.
You guys have a great team.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. I think we know what we're going to do on that. We'll move on to the grant agreement between the Redevelopment Commission and Franklin Development Corporation for 89 East Jefferson Street facade project, otherwise known as the Couchette Building.
And this is just a follow-up to your resolution that was approved at your last month's meeting as far as the facade renovation there. So this would allocate the funds from the Redevelopment Commission to the Franklin Development Corporation in order for that project to get started. There would be a subsequent agreement, it's my understanding, Rob, that there would be a subsequent economic development agreement from the FEC to Couchette directly with all of the stipulations and requirements of how those funds and what those funds would be spent on and all of those details as well, but this is the next step in that process.
You might recall at the last meeting that the motion, that there was action taken to approve moving ahead with this. There was a lot of discussion about Linda's intentions with the property, but ain't really any concern about her flipping the property after the work was done. I think she kind of negated that, stating that she still had, she reminded us that one of the reasons she considered moving was because of the fact that the city had approached her to get involved in this, and that she was going to need an alternate site to move her equipment to during that process. It's apparent that even while though her main operations were made up on Main Street, there is a chance that she still might bring some of her operations back to Franklin, or back to the downtown. But I think primarily she's looking at having it as a rental property. We'll be behind a mortgage that Horizon has. Linda has no issue if there's a sale, if involved in the first 5 years, if there's some provision that would be consistent with what we've done on other properties where it's kind of a step down as each year goes by, that within the first 5 years, if there's any sale and any proceeds over and above the repayment of the debt, that some of that would come back here. Although she says it doesn't appear that likely she's going to look to sell that property at this point. Our next step is to, given that, our next step is to approve this document and get the process in the hands of the FDC. And so what we're here to do today is approve this grant agreement. Rob, do we need to have a public hearing on this? No. So simple.
Bob, is that what you just talked about? Is that in this grant agreement about the payback?
No. No, I think
If
Krista just referenced that it's likely to be in the EDA between the FDC and the Bichette party. I think that understanding's there. Linda stated last month that she had no issue with that provision. So, you know, we're proceeding with the expectation that that's going to be the case. But I think in order to move this process, we have a motion to approve the grant agreement and go from there.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The grant agreement is approved. Thank you. I think we'll skip items and see if that's okay today, and we'll go to kind of an update on the, we don't have resolutions for D and E. These are items that will be taken up at our special meeting on October 2nd. Primarily, the reason for the special meeting is to address these items. In addition, of course, we'll be looking at the Shell building as well. So, we have Mark Richards with us this morning. An update on both of these projects.
Good morning. For the record, Mark Richards, City Engineer. Item D on your agenda is resolution for the design fees for Yancey Street reconstruction. If you'll recall, last November, the city applied for a federal aid grant to reconstruct Yancey Street. Included with that would be drainage, new sidewalks, and lighting. Yancey Street and a short section of Madison Street are the only remaining original brick streets in Franklin. So we thought it was important to preserve the historic nature of those streets. So the grant application included a requirement that we repave the streets using brick. We'll utilize a lot of the brick that's there. We'll have to supplement that somewhat. We are going to try to recover some brick from the Jefferson Street reconstruction that remains on the project. The resolution for the design fees is a contract with GAI Consulting, an Indianapolis firm that assisted with the development of the application. The contract is an amount of $309,000. That includes all design fees through the letting process. The Board of Works did last night approve the contract subject to funding by the Redevelopment Commission. So I would be happy to answer any questions you might have on that project.
You said the time frame is what, 22 on that?
I believe the letting date would be late 2021, so construction would be expected in 2020, calendar year 2022.
I think we're good on that.
Okay, the next project is a corridor improvement for US 31. This is a partial design contract so that we can get the contractor, or the consultant started on survey work and environmental document preparation. The reason that we need to do this is in order to have a full design contract. It's expected that the Redevelopment Commission will have to bond the US 31 5th District. The project it is a joint project between between NDOT and the city. NDOT has agreed to handle right-of-way acquisition, construction, and construction inspection costs. The city's obligation would be to pay for the design costs. NDOT has applied for what's called a build grant. If awarded, that grant would require construction in 2021. That's a very quick time frame to develop a project of this magnitude. It's estimated to be in the $40 to $50 million range for the construction costs. So we thought it would be important to get the design consultants started with the survey and the environmental preparation. If you may have noticed white squares that are or rectangles that are roughly 12 inches long and 4 inches wide that have been placed along US 31 and some of the crossing intersections. That is survey control for scanning. Scanning is a relatively new method of surveying. Rather than send a two-man crew out with a transit or a single-man crew out with a GPS unit and go and collect point by point by point, there's a vehicle-mounted scanner that will drive along the route, collect hundreds of millions of survey points, and those reflective panels that have been installed will serve as a control for that. So some of that work has already started in preparation for getting the survey completed. This contract is in the amount of $100,000. It will fund the entire environmental document preparation and part of the survey. We would come back to the Redevelopment Commission at a later date once the funding is in place for the full design contract and request that you approve that at that time. If you have to answer any questions.
$100,000, again, what's that?
That is for environmental document preparation and partial survey costs.
And when would that be expected to be paid?
The $100,000, they would start incurring the expenses as soon as the contract is awarded.
Pretty soon, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a couple questions on this. These are not meant to be negative questions, but just thoughts. Is it typical in a project like this that a community would be asked to pay the design work for that? Is that just part of the grant process?
It's not part of the grant process. NDOT is being proactive, and they're trying to find new ways to fund projects. They want community buy-in, so the large part of the costs are going to be construction and right-of-way acquisition. So NDOT has agreed to fund those, and it's more typically that it would be a shared cost in the order of 80-20. We're going to be looking at more than 9-10 shared cost.
It's about a $40 million project, though, correct?
40 to 50.
Okay. And I think one of the things we're going to probably have to do before we get too far in the process is vet it out with, I know we've already talked to Jeff Peters to determine what level of, okay, here we go. Say your name and who you are.
Steve Barnett, Mayor, City of Franklin. I have spoke with Jeff. He's checked into what our bonding capacity is, and we can do this fairly easy. We'll have to get with Rob and sit down and talk about how much. And what we're actually doing right now is waiting for Crossroads to give us what their final amount is going to be in the design contract before I get back to Jeff to get how much we need to bond for to get it moving forward. It's a pretty exciting project. Trails down both sides, from city limits to city limits, and also at the intersections where we have a lot of wrecks. If you read in the paper just a few weeks ago, I think out of the top 5 dangerous intersections in Johnson County, 3 of those is in our part of US 31. So it's gonna help with those dangerous intersections. And the trails is a big part down both sides. I think we've all seen pedestrians hit with cars over the years. It'd be an economic development driver for the US 31 corridor, I believe, when businesses will start having walkability. So I'm pretty excited about this project also.
It's been dangerous since we were little.
Yes.
down there.
So it is moving fast. I mean, 2021, 2022, that's going to be here before you know it.
So it'll be interesting to see what they do with the design of the canary, over the canary ditch.
That's also a part of it. While 31 is dug up, they know that part of the flooding back on the north end is because that pipe under 31 is too small. So that'll be increased to help with the flooding and get some of the homes out of the floodplain. So, very exciting project. Yes, it's going to cost the city some money, but look what we're getting. So, this may only come along once in our lifetime to get this kind of update.
Do we get any say-so in the design as a result of our participation?
Somewhat, yes.
In other words, we get something in return for the
Yes.
design work?
Yeah.
And to answer Mr. Wertz's question before he asked it, we will also look at, I wouldn't say we'll look specifically at pedestrian bridges, but we'll look at that plus other options for getting pedestrian traffic across 31. I mean, there may be other options such as, tunnels underneath. It is partially going to be driven by cost. So, we will look at ways to get pedestrian traffic from one side to the other of US 31.
That was the question, but part of the reason is with the new paths and the connection to the high school, I've observed a lot more traffic, foot traffic and bicycle traffic, and coming up on bypass to cross 31 to go across to the school, the median area, they have a section, but it's not big enough when you have 6 or 8 young people on bicycles, and some of them just play Russian roulette with the traffic going through. But it's a great addition with all the trails, and there's a lot more traffic in it. So I appreciate you looking into that.
Yeah, we will, in fact, I've already spoken with Crossroad, and we'll make sure that that is in the final design contract, that they consider those options. Again, this request is specifically for environmental and survey, so those other sections of the design agreement will come later.
Have you seen any preliminary designs or any early thoughts about what they've got in mind on that?
Yeah, we have, we're a little hesitant to really talk too much about the specific designs. The intent is to, as far as traffic movement, is two things. Number one, to make it safer, and the design features have been shown to reduce overall traffic accidents by upwards of 80%. And things like T-bone crashes, rear-end crashes. We have statistics that show what those reductions typically are. The other thing is actually just moving traffic, and this has, through modeling, has shown to move traffic along the corridor at about twice as fast as what it currently moves. So, there's some real benefits to the design that we're looking at.
Any thoughts to access roads that run parallel with 31? I don't know, access roads may not be the correct term, but.
Like frontage roads?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. The reason for that is 31 is so developed that the right-of-way cost would be prohibitive.
Part of the issue with 31 is you have a turn for just about every shop,
Yes.
and that's a lot of darting in and out of stuff, so, okay. Well, good, all right. We'll get more than we'll see a lot more of this before preparation for the next meeting then, so. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Okay, I think that's it for the new business. We'll move to other business, and we do have the reports and then also requests for property use.
Right, and just real quickly, the financial report for August is listed there. The Frechette resolution was added to this, and everything was updated as far as the resolutions that were spent. So you have those numbers based on the estimated November property taxes. That's your ending cash balance for the end of this year is the 1.58 million. Are there any questions? No, there's not a whole lot to report on here, other than just the monthly updates. Any questions there?
The resolution 2018-23, the Shell building, in glancing here, I assume after next month that'll come off.
Not until the closing occurs, and that account, the loan, we have the loan proceeds at Horizon, that all of that is taken care of. So I don't know if that'll be done by your next month's meeting, but
Well, the end of the year, that ought to come up to the cash balance.
well, but then the proceeds will come off of the revenue, so it basically balances itself out.
Okay, anything else? Okay, notice how that she included the TIP district as well, give an idea of the cash balance there.
I did. There really weren't any changes to the TIF bond. Those funds have been spent, and there were, I think it was like $82 and some interest that we spent out, so there's not really anything to report there, and no changes on the US 31 district as well, but I'll continue to include those.
The 100,000 that Mark referenced would be paid out at US 31?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Okay, and we have a request for property use by DDF. I believe Emily's going to approach the...
Hi, Emily Snyder, just over downtown Franklin. I'm requesting property use for the parking lot that we use for the farmer's market. There is a Franklin Vintage Fest coming up on October 6th. And what we would like to use for this specific lot is for vintage vendors to set up. They will be different vendors along the downtown area, specifically in this parking lot. We like vintage vendors to come. They can sell antique items, vintage items, or handmade items. So the event is from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. We're requesting it for 7:30 so they can start setting up. It's going to be a really great event for the downtown area. They did the Spring Vintage Fest in April, and it was an amazing big hit. This festival is really put on by all of the vintage shop owners. They all came together and wanted to do something wonderful for our community. So it's going to be a great thing for downtown Franklin. They're encouraging everyone to go to the shops and the restaurants. So this is just another addition to that festival. So if you have any questions, let me know.
Any questions of Emily? Looking for action for approval then.
So moved.
Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. There you go.
Thank you so much,
Good
guys.
luck with your vintage festival. Okay, on the agenda says public comment and announcements. Anything we got? Dana, I want to thank you again specifically for your great effort in working
We're
on that.
working with the city council.
Yeah, working on that amazing foods. That's a big deal.
It is.
It's a big deal. So we're not done yet, but we'll congratulate you more formally when it's done. Don't want to say anything goes over. Jeff, anything you got going at DC?
I got nothing.
Just fly on the wall today, huh? All right. Ronnie, you got anything?
No, the holiday open house is coming up in November, and then Parks and Rec also has a new festival after the Fall Fest this year, which is Halloween Town, and it's October 27th, so that'll be kind of fun to see.
Les left the room before I could pick on him. Okay. I think just a reminder that tomorrow, this Thursday, is the Whiz Bash, which is put on by the Franklin Chamber of Commerce. And so,
It's at the Garment Factory. It starts at 11:30 to noon. There'll be a big grand opening. There'll be local celebrity speakers. It's free to attend. There's some great workshops, and so check that out. There'll be 85 vendor booths and free food samples and all kinds of good things. So don't miss it.
I'll be going to say all that. Thank you. Yeah, Marty?
We just finished up our festivals for the year, BDF, and very successful farmers market this year too. Thank you guys for your support.
Congratulations on another great year.
Yep.
And while we're on the subject of the chamber, I think most of you know that Janice is retiring. I'll just make a comment that I've enjoyed working with her. I think she's been a very good director of the chamber. I think there's an open house coming up for her on the 27th at Mallow Run. I don't, if anybody has an interest in going to that, I think it starts at 4:30, goes to about 6:30. So we're certainly going to miss Janice as she retires. So, anything else to bring before the meeting? If not, we'll be adjourned. Thank you.